Hey everyone, welcome back to Code of the Row. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a laser. And let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is open up my character pawn class. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make it without using the actions component in case you need to manually add something. So what I'm going to do in this case is use my debug key 9. And this will have a pressed event and a released event. So what I want to do is drag out the pressed output and do a play anim montage. And now I'm going to create an anim montage of some character shooting a beam spell type thing. And for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll be using this asset called Energy Beam VFX, specifically this fire one. And they also have lightning, water tornado, purple, green, and so on. And all of these will work in the same way. And you can also even include some status effects. So for example, if you want your lightning one to paralyze them. So I'll be using this Energy Blast Animations by Animo Mocap because it has some shooting spells using the animations and so on. Kind of looks like Avatar style, firebending, earthbending, and all that. So I'm just going to select one of my animations, preferably something like, I can look for something that's kind of looping. So what I'm going to do is just make an anim montage using the idle animation, a loop one that has something like this. So I use 28, for example. And I did retarget this to my anim or my skeleton, and it's not a perfect fit because I'm using a Cinti one. So it does look really stretched out and weird, but you can really use whatever animations you want. And then I added a default state. Going over to your montage sections, you can add 3 animations. So I added the loop one and an end one to to include the ACF exit notification. So what I did here was I have a default animation where he's idle and then he just goes into the loop immediately. And this will include the ACF notification action or notify action. So this will start your fire shooting spell and it'll keep looping until you tell it to go to the end montage. And the end montage will exit out of the fire one. And in order to do this, let me remove the links and show you. So for the default one, you just click this square on the right of it and select the loop to go to the loop. And then for the loop, you'll click the square and select the loop again so that it'll just get stuck here. And then end will be its own thing. Because basically we just want it to keep looping until we turn it off manually. So for example, you could cut it midway animation and it'll just start the end and exit out of it. So now that this animation montage is made, I'm going to go back to my character and select that anim montage. So this is called Spellfire Loop. And for the start section, I'm actually going to start this at the looping part just because I want my laser to come out immediately. I'll scoot this down for some space. And then on released, I want to stop the anim montage for now. And I'll select the same one. So I want to stop the Spellfire Loop. And now after this, I want to spawn an actor from a class. And in this case, we're going to have to create a Niagara actor class because there are very few ways to actually deactivate the Niagara system. And these spells that we're using from the energy beam are all Niagara spells. So as you can see here, it's using the Niagara system. And I kind of found this complicated to deactivate, but I'll show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is go to my content, right click, I'll create a blueprint class, and this will be a Niagara actor. So I'll go ahead and create this, and I'll call this something like Firebeam actor. Double click into it, and now you're going to see the Niagara component already here. So I'm just going to select that Firebeam, or in this case, it's called Fire Tongue Lick, and you'll see it playing here. And then I also want to add a box collision to define our damage. And I want to make this quite bigger because you'll see it's only going to affect this radius. So I'll do something like 250. So yeah, I'll make it pretty big actually. So it'll affect everything in front of me. And then I'll hit compile and go to event graph. And now all I'm going to do is just erase these, click on box, scroll all the way down, and then do on component begin overlap. Set a timer by event. And this is so I can have ticking damage every second or something. So I'll do a custom event called damage. And for the time, I'm going to do something like every 0.2 seconds. I'll make sure looping is checked. And then I'll drag this out and do an apply damage. And for this case, I'm just going to use ACF cut damage because I want to see the hit reactions that's native to the full sample. And then for the base damage, I'll do something like it'll do, let's say 50 damage every 0.2 seconds. And then for the other actor, make sure you connect this to damaged actor. And I'll hit compile and save. And now going back to my character, I'm going to select that class that we created. So it's called Firebeam Actor. And now if we compile it, we're going to get an error because we need spawn transformation plugged in. And all I'm going to do for this one is just get a socket transformation, get socket transform. And we want to connect this to our skeletal mesh because we're going to select something from our skeleton. And in this case, I have a socket called spell. And if I go over to my skeletal mesh, open my skeleton, and if I search for spell, you'll see in my right hand, it's going to be shitting out of my right hand. I adjusted it to the appropriate scaling, rotation, and location just so that the spell kind of comes out forward. And a good way to actually determine that is if you hit play, and this probably won't work for you right now, but if you have your, actually it will work for you right now because you did set the actor up. If you hit your spell icon, hit F8 and then hit pause, what you can do from here is you can kind of just go over to your skeleton and then go to that socket that you created, turn it a little bit, go back to the game map, and then do advance a single frame, and you'll see how it moved a little bit. So I could just adjust it. So that's way too high actually. And yeah, you can just keep playing around with it just like this, advance single frame, and eventually you'll get the perfect lineup that you want. So in this case, it's almost perfect. Just gonna see if I can raise it a little. Okay, yeah, so this is good for me. So now it's kind of going straight in a straight line. And then I'll just click F8 again and hit play and resume simulation. And we don't have anything to turn it off, so gonna keep playing forever on our hand. And if we walk over it, it'll kill us. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'll go back to my ultimate character. And because it was not actually attaching to our hand, we're gonna wanna attach the actor to the component. And then the return value of this is gonna go into target. And for the parent, we do wanna attach the skeletal mesh into this. So skeletal mesh will go into the socket transform and the attach actor component just to tell it where it's gonna attach to. And the socket name for this one, I'm just going to do spell. And I also want to snap the target for all three of these, just to make sure that it's stuck in my hand. So now what I'm going to do also on top of that is I want to add a destroy actor before the anim montage plays, because we want the fire to stop before we play the animation. And the return value of the actor will actually go into the destroy actor so we can stop it. So if I hit compile and play now and hold, you'll see that it's snapped to my hand. It'll hit everything in front of me, and if I let go, it'll stop immediately, and it will also destroy the Niagara particle. So this guy's coming too close to me, so I can just, so I think my box is not close enough to me, which is why this guy's not taking damage when he's super close, but that's fine. And yeah, that's a pretty simple way on how to set up an infinite looping laser beam action using Ascent Combat Framework. And this is the manual way. It's not playing your actions montage, but it is very useful just in case you do want to do something like this. Also good for debugging, and it's a good way to get the Niagara particle to stop playing. And if you wanted to just switch up your actor, for example, I could just change this component to something like, let's do another beam. So I'll select the ion laser, and then when I hit 9, it will play the sound as well. And the sound is actually attached to the Niagara system itself. So if you wanted to change it, you would double click into the Niagara system, and then you would play around with the audio settings here. So you could just turn this off if you wanted to. And yeah, that's a pretty simple way on how to make a laser beam in Ascent Combat Framework. Thanks for watching Coded Row. Like, subscribe, comment below what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.